Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Diana and the Book Hunt. In today's video, I'm going to be wrapping up the books that I managed to finish in the later part of the month of June. So the books that I managed to finish from the 15th of June on. And I had a couple of very interesting reads, a couple of very summary reads, and I had one 5-star read that made me cry. So you definitely need to stick around for that one to see which book made me cry. And the summary reads are ones that some of them you can actually check out in the summer recommendations video that I posted a couple of days ago that I'm going to link up in the cards, and I think one of them actually isn't included in that one, so you can also check out if you want to put it on your TBR as well. And yeah, let's just go ahead and dive in because there's a couple of really interesting books that I want to mention in this specific video. So the first book I'm going to talk about is by Sarah Reddy. The book is called French Holiday, and this is a very summary read. I mentioned it already in my recommendations video, but I definitely want to do a short summary here again because it's a very fun book. I gave it 4 stars. The book centers on our heroine Mary, who is very much in love with her best friend, but she's been friend-zoned for already a couple of years now, and the worst thing that can happen actually happens, and that is that he falls in love with her sister. He's actually getting married to her sister, and she needs to attend this wedding, and she's going to be heartbroken over it, obviously. And the best friend of Leo, the guy who's going to get married, he is obviously aware of the fact that our heroine is in love with his best friend, and he's like, you need to get over him, you need to do something because it's very evident that you have feelings for him. So she decides to take one of her family members up on an offer to go to France for the summer, and she goes to this chateau that is owned by her aunt. But at the same time, it turns out that Noah, the best man in question, that he has rented this chateau as well from her aunt, so they are going to be spending the summer together there, and they're going to need to share the chateau. So it's a very fun forced proximity kind of enemies to lovers situation, and I really liked it because there were certain aspects within the book that I didn't expect to happen. Kind of a mystery theme going on with the hero's background specifically. And it was very fun, very like banter filled, and the whole atmosphere of the French setting and the French food and just the overall summary feeling felt really evident and very present within the story. So I really enjoyed it and I gave it 4 stars. So I really had high hopes for the next one. The book is called Guava Flavored Lies, and it's by J.J. Arias. This book actually has a very high rating on Goodreads, if I'm not mistaken, and I really had high hopes for it because it sounded like an amazing story to me. It's a sapphic romance between 2 women who are parts of respective families who have a feud together. I think they live, if I'm not mistaken, in Florida, in Miami, and they're from like Cuban descent, and both of their families have restaurants or bakeries, and they have these very traditional Cuban dishes that they serve at their respective places, but both of them think that they stole recipes from one another, so their family feud has been going on for generations. And the ladies in question, Sylvie and Lauren, they're both like competing at the same events and going to the same festivals, and they're present everywhere at the same time together, and they're bickering the whole time. And both of them are out, so that they both know of each other, that they're dating women. But the thing is, like, one of the characters, Lauren, she was absolutely amazing. The kind of character, like laid back character that she is, and the type of progress that she's going throughout the plot, the fact that she has a relationship within the book, that we see the progression of that, how that goes, really kind of stuck out to me as something that I was very intrigued by. And then we have the other heroine, Sylvie, who is just the most obnoxious kind of character that I can ever imagine. She really took that rivalry that their families have to the next level. And the whole time she was so fixated on the fact that she wants to prove to everyone that the other family stole their recipes. And she was so petty about just every single thing that was happening everywhere that the other heroine would show up. She was like, what are you doing here? And she was really like a nagging kind of character, someone who is focusing on the negative the whole time, that kind of took me out of the positive side of the story, and it really got on my nerves. At the end, I was like, I almost don't want Lauren to be stuck with her because she is so negative the whole time. So that kind of took me out of the story. And while I did imagine at the start of the book, because this is a foodie romance, this is a romance that focuses on a lot of cultural aspects that I love to read about, I thought this was definitely going to be a hit for me, but unfortunately it wasn't as much of it as a hit as I would have hoped. So I gave this one 3 stars. So I finally picked up Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. I absolutely loved the fine print. Last year when I picked it up, I gave that one 5 stars, and I think I'm in the minority because most of the readers that have picked up both of these books have loved Terms and Conditions more than they did the fine print, but for me it's actually the other way around. I don't know why that is, to be honest. I think I know why that is, because in the first book, while the hero in that book, Rowan, he wasn't the favorite type of hero that I love to see. I think the circumstances in which he kind of, his barriers that he had were broken down. I got to see more of him in the end, and I started to appreciate him for some of the things that were happening towards the end. So I gave that one 5 stars because I saw redeeming qualities in him, and I really liked how his character progressed in the end. And I absolutely loved the heroine within the book, so that was kind of like one of the things that definitely worked for me. And then in this one, while I absolutely loved the heroine in this one as well, Iris, I had a lot of issues with Declan, the hero. So if you don't know about this series, the series centers on 3 brothers who have inherited a very big fortune that is kind of like a Disney land kind of a fortune. So they have this theme park, they have a lot of properties, a lot of money obviously, and their grandfather has specifically left them with specific tasks that they need to complete each of them within a certain amount of time, otherwise they won't get their inheritance. So for the first guy, Rowan, he was supposed to kind of breathe new life into the Disneyland theme park. I think it's called Dreamland in the book. And then the second guy, Declan, he needs to get married and have a baby. And then the third guy, Cal, I don't know what Cal needs to do, to be honest, because I still haven't read the third book, but we're gonna wait out and see. So Declan here is in a bit of a dire situation because he really quickly needs to find someone to marry him and have his baby. And while Iris, who is his assistant, she has found the perfect candidate who has agreed to kind of have this relationship on paper and then have a child with a guy for obviously a good payment. At the last moment, Declan screws everything up because he scares the girl away and he doesn't have anyone to marry, and there's going to be this engagement party that they've organized and there is no bride. So Iris agrees at the last moment to be the woman for him, basically to go through the whole procedure of getting married with him, so a marriage of convenience, if you will, and then have his baby. And while I loved Iris's character, Declan really kind of fell flat for me because throughout the first part of the book, okay, he is very stoic, he's very kind of distant, he's very closed off. I get all of that. But then it's like this happened and then he was in love with her. And I just didn't get the whole, I kind of had hoped that there would be a situation where he might have had feelings for her but was hiding them from her, and then somehow they became more apparent and he became happy that she decided to do this for him because it would give him the opportunity to show those feelings. But it wasn't like that. It looked like at the start of the book he didn't really consider her in that way. He was very professional with her, but then towards halfway throughout the book he was then in love with her. And it looked like he was in love with her because of the situation, and it just didn't work for me. The whole premise of that was kind of weird for me. So also the fact that the third act conflict that was thrown into the book really bugged me, because it just showed how much Declan was not in love with Iris, in my opinion. So yeah, I just didn't buy the romance within this story. I love the heroine. I appreciate the idea that was behind having the marriage of convenience within this story, but I just didn't love the hero, or didn't find that his feelings were genuine. So I gave this book 4 stars because I loved being back within that world. And I think the reason that I gave this book 4 stars is, first of all, Iris's character and her progression within the book, but also her relationship with his brother Cal. And it kind of got me intrigued into reading the next book as well. So that's why I gave this book 4 stars. I didn't really love it as much as I had hoped, but I'm curious to see how the next one will go. The next book that I picked up is by Odette Stone, and it's called Dark Russian Angel. It's part of a mafia series that is set in the Vancouver world, that is the Vancouver Wolves series world as well. So we actually have characters from that series popping up in this book as well. You don't need to read the Vancouver Wolves series to read this one. You can definitely read this one as a standalone, but still, because I've read them, I recognize immediately who was present in that series as well. So I had really hoped that I would love this book as much as I've loved the Vancouver Wolf series, because those series, most of the books I've given 4 or 5 stars. Like, I think 2 5 stars and 2 4 stars, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm disappointed that I didn't like it as much. I gave this book 3 stars because I think the mafia aspect within this book was kind of not well enough developed. I think it's underdeveloped. I think that's the word that I was looking for. Because we do have a mafioso within this book, part of the Russian mafia. His name is Andrusha. He is some kind, I don't know what kind of position he has, honestly, I don't think that is very apparent within the book, what kind of a function he has within the mob. But we've got the heroine, whose name is Olivia. She is supposed to be this key witness in a very big trial that is supposed to lock away a very big mafioso, because she was witness of something that they did. And obviously already from the start of the book, they're trying to kill her. So the police is not doing a very good job of hiding her until the trial. And in comes Andrusha, who for some reason or other is at the place where she is hidden and where she's trying to run away from the bad guy. So he saves her. And this is where their story starts, where she kind of starts depending on him to get her through the time that is needed until she can testify. And I don't know. I think that just this whole story, there were so many gaps within it. Gaps within the romance, gaps within the plot, gaps within like the world building, and I just couldn't appreciate it as much as I'd hoped. There was definitely potential within this story, but it wasn't what it was supposed to be, I believe. So I gave this one 3 stars. Next up, I picked up another fun summer read. I finally read it. I was supposed to read it already last year, but I'm definitely happy that I picked it up this year. The book is called The Summer of Broken Rules by K.A. Walther. And this book is exactly the kind of book that I want to pick up when I'm reading a summary read. It centers on our heroine Meredith, who has gone through a very traumatic loss. Her whole family has. And they're going to be going to this wedding at Martha's Vineyard, at a place where they always went like every summer. And she is kind of very nostalgic and very kind of affected by the fact that she's going to this wedding without the person that she has lost in the past. And additionally, she just recently got dumped by her boyfriend. And they're going to this wedding, and the fun thing about this story is that part of the wedding party activities is a game of assassin. And this is where the hero comes in. He's part of the groom's side, so she had never met him before. His name is Steven, and they team up together to kind of get rid of the competition within the game. And they start to know each other while playing the game. It was just such an amazing read. I think that it was very well balanced with the fun things going on with the game, but at the same time finding out what exactly this traumatic event was, what she lost, and how it happened, and how the whole family is working through that loss. I found that the romance was really cute, and it just left me feeling giddy after I finished it. So I think this is a very good sign that this was definitely a worthwhile read. I gave it 4 to 4.5 stars. I wouldn't say that it's a 5-star read for me. I think 4.5 stars is fair. So it's definitely one that I would recommend if you want to pick up a summary read. So when I picked up the next book, I thought it had a lot of potential. The first thing that I want to say about this book is that it reminded me of 2 books that I absolutely love, that I really had hoped to see back in some respect within this story. So I really hope that I would love this book. The book is called Love Match, and it's by Keira Andrews. And it's a male-male romance between 2 tennis stars. So when I say tennis, I immediately think about Carrie Soto is back. So I really love the setting of having to go through these tennis tournaments, because I actually actively watch tennis. I absolutely love the game. So I was really looking forward to read more about how this is set up within the book. And then it's a male-male romance between 2 athletes, and for some reason I thought it was going to be similar to the book by Chloe Lee's Everything for You. I think it's that one where we have 2 heroes who are part of the same team. This really, I thought it was going to remind me of that book, because one of the heroes is older, the other one is younger, and then at the same time they're going to be teaming up to play together as a duo team. And there were similarities in my opinion, but at the same time I found that this one was really leaning heavy towards this theme and not so much on the plot. And also I think that it was really weird for me that in this situation we've got 2 characters where one of them is at the end of his career almost, and the other one is at the start of their career. And it's portrayed very much that career-wise the younger guy is very inexperienced and the older guy has all the experience in the world, but at the same time plot-wise, so relationship-wise, the younger guy was acting more mature than the older guy, which was really kind of weird for me. So I had higher hopes for this one, but unfortunately it just didn't deliver as well as it should have. So I gave this book 3 stars. So the time has come to tell you about the story that made me cry. I actually posted on Instagram about this, that one of the books by Bonam-Young made me cry recently. The book is called Next to You. It's the second book within her standalone series. The first one is Next of Kin. I read it last month and I really enjoyed it, but this one really made me cry. The book is centering on our heroine Lane, who has anxiety issues, and she has kind of a lot of issues that are going back to the loss of her father. And she has the most amazing encounter with her best friend Matt. So she doesn't know him, obviously. She meets him at this New Year's party. They start to have a conversation together and they kiss because of midnight New Year's. But both of them feel a connection, but she's like, you know, I'm just not going to go there. I'm not into getting into a relationship. So she kind of friend-zoned him and they became best friends after that. So within this story, we're following the story of how Lane is trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life and how she wants to get into a better place for herself, because she hasn't been feeling like she's been doing what she needs to do with her life. She feels like everyone is moving forward with whatever they want to do, career-wise, family-wise. Everything is just going well for everyone else, but for her, she's kind of stuck with her job. She lives in an apartment that she doesn't really appreciate and doesn't want to live in. So she gets an idea through a YouTube video to purchase a school bus and renovate it to make it her home. So she impulsively buys this bus and she tells her best friend Matt, who is a mechanic, that she wants to turn it into her home, and he offers to help her out with that. So they have a lot of forced proximity because they work on this bus together, and in the meantime she offers her assistance because she's a graphic designer to help him out with his website, with his shop. And they have a lot of forced proximity, a lot of banter, they have a lot of amazing conversations. I think what really drew me to the story and what really made me cry is the fact that I felt like the heroine within this book, she was dealing with anxiety, right? And she was dealing with a lot of past trauma, but she felt really real to me. Like her issues were really genuine, and the way that she was going through the motions and the way that Matt was provoking her to speak about what is going on with her and really make her feel comfortable enough to explore how to fix those things, and also going to therapy eventually. It just felt like she was working through everything in a very realistic and genuine way. And the loss that she had, that really kind of, I really felt that. And also the fact that we have the most amazing hero within this story. Matt is like the ultimate type of hero who is so understanding, so supportive. He is a pining hero. He is someone who absolutely adores and worships the ground that the heroine walks on. And there's just so much positive things that I can say about this book. I absolutely loved it, and I'll be looking out for any releases that this author has. I know that in the month of July she's going to release her new book, Out on a Limb, and I've already heard so many amazing things about it, so I can't wait to read that one. But this book just worked for me on so many levels. It's a 5-star read for me. It's going to end up in my favorites of the year, and I definitely recommend it. The last book that I finished, I actually started maybe 3 months ago and I think that I was just not in the right mood to continue it. So I am happy that I eventually finished it. The book is called The World Gives Way, and it's by Marissa Levien. This book I picked up because I saw a reading vlog by Riley Marie, I think it was. And this book is actually a sci-fi book, and I saw in her reading vlog that she was loving it, and she even cried, I think, when she read that book. So I was like, okay, sounds like an amazing read, so I want to pick it up to see if it's going to make me as emotional as it did her. And it has a very interesting premise. The book centers on a situation of the world has no more capacity to house everyone, and we need to figure out a way of repopulating another planet that has been found livable. So they've built this ship that actually is like a world in its own, that is going to take a couple of generations to transport everyone from dying Earth to the new potential home. And within this ship, so it really is like a real life world. There's different cities, different kind of almost like climates, different kinds of settings, like deserts and like stone cities and a sea and everything. So we're already in the last generation, so almost at the end of the trip, where the people are supposed to almost arrive at this new world. And what happens is we have our heroine Mira, who is part of, there is a hierarchy, by the way, within the society within this ship. So we've got a lot of rich people, and then the poorer people are like under contract and are serving the rich people. So she's under contract taking care of the baby of one of the richer families within this hierarchy, within this world. And already at the start of the book, we find out that something is going wrong with this ship. And the rich people that are part of like Mira's contract, they kill themselves. This is not a spoiler. I think it's like mentioned everywhere that the two of them, they kill themselves, but just before they kill themselves, they tell her that something is wrong with the ship. So from that point on, a lot of things start to happen, because obviously she finds out that their world as they know it is possibly threatened to end. At the same time, they kill themselves, and it kind of looks like she is part of this murder scheme to murder them. And then they leave her the baby, so she's left with the baby. And we also follow another person within this plot, Tobias. He is part of the police force who is tasked to investigate what has happened to these people. And he is tasked with finding Mira. So a lot of things happen within this book when it comes to like the world, and also her running away and him chasing her. But at the same time, I think that what really struck me is the fact that all of them need to consider what kind of a feeling do you have if you know that you're not going to be living past the next couple of days, weeks, or months, and really contemplate, have you had whatever you can do within your life that you could do, and really just a lot of philosophical things that are starting to run through your head, and is there a possible way out of this situation as well. And this book, I think, was going to be a 5-star read for me if it had ended in a bit of a more elaborate way. I found that the ending, specifically the last chapter, could have been developed a bit more. But otherwise, it was a very fascinating read. I found that it was really, I was thinking about it, even though I was not reading the book actively for a long time. The whole time I was like, oh, I still need to get back to this book because it's really interesting for me to know what is going to happen. Are they going to find her? Is she going to get locked up? Is the world going to end? I just wanted to know what is going to happen. So I was very engaged with it, even though I was not reading it actively for a couple of months. So I definitely would urge you, if you like sci-fi books, because I don't read very many, but when I do, I tend to gravitate towards this kind of books. I really enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 stars. These were all the books that I managed to finish in the second part of the month of June. I have a part 1 that I actually failed to mention at the start of this video. I'm going to link it up in the cards if you want to check it out. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know which books you read in June and which ones you loved the most. And please let me know also if you finished any of the books that I mentioned and what you thought about them. I hope to see you very soon in the next one. Have a wonderful, marvelous day. Happy reading. Take care, and bye-bye.